Parashat EKEV. And, it's hard to translate EKEV into English, but EKEV means following, but the most important thing is EKEV means, cause and effect. The parasha is about cause and effect. And it's not very different than the other parashot in the book of Dvarim, but it is different because there's a very special focus on this parasha. Now, there are many, many important issues in this parasha. There's not so much commentary by Rashi about this parasha because the words are really, really clear. It's almost like so clear that, if you understand, simple language in Hebrew or in the English translation, it doesn't have to be. That's the surface. But under the surface, there's some very, very deep understandings of this parasha that will determine if our life is success or failure. What do I mean? When we say following cause and effect, the words are very simple and very clear and very easy to understand. And it says, Vaya EKEV, if you follow, following, understanding or listening to these laws, and then it says, Ushmartem v'asitem, you observe and you do those laws, and then God, it says, will observe to you, and will love you, bless you, and then multiply you, and multiply all your blessings. That's a very simple. We are reading in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 12 and on. That's what the parasha is about. And then there are amazing blessings over here. Okay? Now, what I want you to notice that it is very much focusing on cause and effect and understanding that things in this world don't happen just by chance. There's no chance, there's no, circumstances and no suddenly. In Hebrew, the word suddenly, pitom, is pet, pei, taf, aleph, mem. And the word fools is ptaim, pei, taf, aleph, yud, mem. One letter difference, which means fools, they think that things happen suddenly. Well, if you learn science, you learn that if something happened, something made it happen. It didn't just happen out of nowhere, out of nothing. Because there's no something from nothing, whatever, that's a basic of science. If something happened, there were some issues that preceded that made it happen. And that's called evolution because everything evolves from everything else. So, if you want to control your life, you have to control certain aspects of your life. And the moment you control it on the proper way, according to these laws, Moses is saying, you'll have the ability to control your life so it will follow the cause and effect towards the positive outcomes. And that is in your hands. That's what Moses is trying to say. But what do you need to do? And here Moses is saying, it's not enough just to do. It's not enough just to do. You also need to think. You also, and especially, you need to have control over your think. There's in the song of Lecha Dodi, Friday night, the welcoming of the Shabbat, it says, Sof Ma'aseh, so Rabbi Moshe Elkavetz wrote, Shlomo Elkavetz wrote, Sof Ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. The end of the action will be determined by the preceding thought, which means the thought is the seed, but the action has to be done, and the action will be determined by the thought. You control the thought, you control the action. How do you control the thought? So it goes with the next thing. It says, Vaya EKEV tishmeun, so that's where I'm going back to the first verse of the parasha. Vaya EKEV tishmeun, et hamishpatim ele ushmartem v'asitem. What means shmartem v'asitem? Shmartem is a simple Hebrew word which means to guard and to observe. If you have a guard, that you put a guard somewhere, in Hebrew it's called shomer. Very simple, every child knows that. It's shomer. Okay? So, shmartem, shomer, and then comes the word ve'asitem, and you will do. And Moses is using, in different conjugations, that pair of words for the rest of the whole book of Deuteronomy. Lishmor ve'lasot, to guard and to do. And I spoke about it many years before, and many times, but this is very, very important. Because it's about the basic issue about the whole books of Moses, about all the message. And the message is very simple. The world can be divided into two realms. The realm of thought and intention, the realm of the spirit, and the realm of the actions themselves. In order for the person to experience success, true success, lasting success, and fulfillment, you need to work on both realms. You cannot work on one realm only. That's the message of monotheism. The two realms have to be worked together. Actions are not enough, intentions are not enough. You need to have both being developed. And both. And what the whole Torah is about both. So when we say ushmartem v'asitem, and you guard, observe, and you do, or you make the action, or lishmor ve'lasot, to observe and to do, these pair of two verbs continue to come again and again, as I said, in different conjugation. Why? Because a complete action has double side. One is the action, one is the intention. And, which means the same way, as a human being has two sides, a soul and a body. If you satiate the soul and the body is neglected, that's not going to work. If you satiate the body and the soul is not going to be fulfilled, that's not going to work. You have to work on both realms simultaneously. Both. The actions and the thoughts and the actions. The intentions and the awareness, and at the same time, the physical actions. There are a lot of people that their philosophy, either they have some religious philosophy behind it, or ideology, or not, I don't know, just because it's the way of life. And a lot of people, they say, you have to really put the energy on the thoughts, on the intention. But the actions, they don't really matter, because this world is a world of lies. And there are people, they say, who cares about the meditation and the thoughts? What's really important is what you do. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. That's what the Kabbalists are saying. That's what Moses is saying. That's what the whole Zohar and the Torah is saying. And it's a matter of cause and effect. You want to have the experience of success, you need to work in both worlds simultaneously. So there are many issues that's basically the discussion between people who are spiritual and people who are not spiritual, because there are people that think they're spiritual. They think you just have to be focusing on having nice thoughts. What about the actions? Who cares about the actions? So you meditate the whole day, or you study Torah the whole day, or you study Talmud the whole day, and you're connecting to these amazing ideas, and when it comes to actions, you don't really, so everything is messed up around you, and stinking and dirty and broken, and you don't care because that doesn't matter. This is not Moses' teachings. You have to work on both. The physical is being used as the vehicle and the vessel for the spiritual. And that's why it says, the sages are saying, Nefesh bariah beguf bari. A healthy soul in a healthy body. You have to work on both realms. Even by understanding that what the Kabbalists were saying, that basically, the moment you think that physical is inappropriate, so if the physical, it doesn't matter, so why the Torah is giving so much thought about the physical? Why does it say, do not steal on Mount Sinai? If the physical is not important. So who cares about it? You steal, you don't steal, who cares? Doesn't matter. If you have really great ideology, and there are a lot of people that steal in the name of ideology, right? They call it all kinds of idealistic dictatorships. They, in the name of the welfare of the public, they steal from the individuals. Okay? That happens everywhere. What is the result? Despair, destruction, annihilation. Why? Because it says do not steal. Why does it say no, do not steal? So here, we understand first of all that one of the basic teachings of Kabbalah is the idea that every action has to be worked out and completed in both realms. Both realms are basically twins, two who are one. That's why when you use the word mitzvah, we spoke about it many, many times, but the word mitzvah, a precept, it comes from the word, in a simple explanation, it comes from the word letzavet. Letzavet means to team. We are teaming an action and an emotional, spiritual awareness. That's called a mitzvah. If you have only the physical action without the awareness, it's just an empty action. And that's why the Zohar is talking a lot about the intensity of spiritual consciousness as a prerequisite for physical success. Because there's no physical, basically. There's a physical awareness that is elusive. Because what is physical? Is matter really physical? I'm talking about it's a being in the five senses realm. We know that whatever the five senses are aware of really doesn't exist, because we perceive items, objects, inanimate, as hard matter. Physics says these are basically clouds of energy. And what the Kabbalists are saying, which is even more important, everything is energy that is kind of a branching out from the Creator himself. The moment the Creator turns off that flow of energy, that matter, whatever it is, big or small, okay, will disappear in an instant. Because the moment what's holding the energy that flows into that matter will stop flowing, that thing will just be gone in an instant. So everything is infiltrated with the energy of the Creator, and that is the first thing in Kabbalah. You cannot separate physics and metaphysics. You cannot separate the body and the soul. You cannot separate a physical, inanimate object and God. They're one. That's why we say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hear Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. What do you mean one? There's one God up in heaven and not somebody else's? No. The whole universe is one. Everything you're looking at is part of that one. Human consciousness is separation. Human consciousness is about boundaries, about up to here and up to here. But that's where we have to put the work. The awareness that everything, basically, everything, events, energy, items, objects, people, animals, whatever, everything is basically connected to the same one. The same one. The same one force. The moment this force is turned off, everything will be gone. The same way you're watching a movie, it's a whole universe. The moment the projector is gone, no movie, nothing. Oh, but there was a big tree on the screen. That tree will be gone in an instant. The moment the projector is off. Doesn't matter how big it is, how strong it is. It doesn't matter. The projector is the light of the Creator. Now, as humans, we have a job. We can be magical, and we can be non-magical. Non-magical means that you just live on the superficial, you just paint on the object. And that's very painful because you will feel empty for all your life. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter for how many theme parks you went to and you got really excited. How many best restaurants in the world you dined into. It doesn't matter. You'll stay always empty because who you're fooling? You're fooling your eyes and your mind, but you're not connecting to anything that is real. What is real is the spiritual light that is fulfilling everything. And that's why when it says lishmor velasot, to observe and to do, it means that every action that you're doing needs the intention and the awareness of how do I train my mind to connect to the holy light within that action. When a guard, going back to the word shomer, a guard is a guard as long as his or her awareness is on focusing on the subject of the guardian, right? The moment they're not focused on the subject of their work, they're not guards anymore. They're cheating. So when it says lishmor velasot v'ushmartem v'asitem, it means that everything that you do needs to have an intention, observance, and focusing. Focusing on what? Focusing on what is that human being want? People want spiritual fulfillment. People want the light of the Creator. People want happiness and the energy of life. That's what they want. For them to achieve that, they need to train themselves. Training means ongoing meditation, prayer, and study till you train your subconscious and your conscious mind to be on guard. Then the actions start to be fulfilled. Two people are baking the same cake. One is fully aware of spirituality and focusing on bringing that spiritual emotions into the cake, and the other one is just baking a cake. That will taste like a cardboard, and that will taste like something really special. Because it's not just the ingredients of the cake, they should be okay, but they should be the good ingredients, but they are just the container for the person's intention, awareness. That's called to be shomer, to be observant. You know what? Today there's a whole movement. It is called mindfulness, which means when you do something, you need to activate mindfulness. When you make food, when you eat that food. Because same way food has minerals, vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, whatever kinds of nutritious elements, it has also a spiritual dimension. When you eat, as the Kabbalists are saying, as Rabbi Zaklo is saying, when you eat the food, yes, you need the physical aspect of the food. But you need also to connect to the spiritual aspect of the food. And that's why you have to make a bracha, a blessing on the food. Not because God needs you to thank Him. He doesn't need that. You can't add to God anything, but because if God wants to give you that spiritual fulfillment, you need to ask for it. And saying the bracha, saying the blessing, and having mindfulness, being aware that by saying the words, you are bringing in that spiritual light into your body and soul, that is something that you have to train yourself all the time. If you want to be fulfilled, if you want to feel success, if you want to feel that your life was worthy of it. Okay? Or many times people think their life is successful because everything goes nice. Does that mean that you're going to be happy? No. How many people do you know that everything in their lives from the outside looks going nice and they're miserable, depressed, complaining all the time? And you ask them, what's wrong with you? No, I don't know, I'm not happy, I'm this. What's wrong? You're lacking what is called that mindfulness. You're not tapping into anything. Everything is superficial. And because everything is superficial, you're empty. And when you're empty, you don't feel successful. Very simple. So that has to be, you have to train yourself to do that. You have to learn how to meditate, but meditation is not something, according to Kabbalah, that you do once a day, close your eyes for 20 minutes and you meditate. Meditation is something that you do 24/7. When you eat, when you shop, when you talk to people, it always have to be about, are you mindfulness? That's not easy. Why do you have to meditate? At least once a day. Because by that you're training your mind to be also in realms that are beyond what the eyes can see and the ears can hear. And if you don't train, you can't do it. It's like, what they say in the army, which is, if it's hard in the training, it will be easier in life. Right? In the battlefield. So the training is, your meditation is just a training. A lot of people think that the meditation is the thing. No, the meditation is the preparation for the thing. The meditation is the training before you go to war. Where is war? When you're out there on the street, when you're out there shopping, buying, selling, dealing with people, talking with people. Are you mindful at that moment? Are you aware there is, in every situation, there is some light, you have to tap into it? And if you're mindful, then you will be able to tap into that light, into that situation. Okay, so that's why the Zohar says something that is very, very powerful in this parsha. In the beginning of the parsha, there's a big part that speaks about, how do you connect basically to bliss in your life. And there are certain laws that you have to, it gives all the laws. And then at the end of that part, there is a very famous verse that says, that's in chapter 8, verse 10. Okay, in Deuteronomy. ואכלת ושבעת וברכת את השם אלוקיך על הארץ הטובה שנתן לך. And you should eat and be satiated, and you should bless your God, your Lord, for the land, the good land that He gave you. And from there we learn that you have to make blessings on the food before and after. Okay? Birkat Hamazon, the grace after the meal that we say, that's the words of the first, in the end of the first bracha, the first blessing. So why is it so important? Because it's all about the blessing. Now the blessing is not the words that you say. The word blessing means it's energy of bliss. And the Zohar says as follows. Mitzvah zo, it's a mitzvah. And what do we say a mitzvah? Mitzvah comes from the word letzavet, to team. To team the heaven and the earth, the soul and the body, the consciousness and the action, the light and the vessel. That's what mitzvah is about. It's not a religious thing. Religious means I do it so God can write a V next to my name. So God, you saw I did it. Come on. This is 2017. Grow up already. That was good in the Middle Dark Ages, but the Dark Ages are over 500 years ago. Wake up. People don't do that anymore. And if they do it, they know it's a lie. It's a lie. And if you watch them doing it, deep inside you know it's a lie. You don't do things to make God happy. He's happy. He doesn't need you to be happy. Hello. But you do things because God created you to be happy, and fulfilling His will is that you become happy. And how could you become happy is when you follow these rules. And you need to be mindful, you need to be aware, you need to be focused on the spiritual dimension of this world in order to be happy. And if you're materialistic, you cannot be happy. Sorry, can't be happy. Doesn't work. Why? Says the Zohar. It's a mitzvah to bless God על כל מה שאכל ושתה ונהנה בעולם הזה. To bless God for everything you eat and you drink and you enjoy in this world. Why? If I don't bless Him, He's not going to be happy? Again, He's happy, He doesn't need you to be happy. But He created you to be happy, but He gave you the buttons to push in order to make yourself happy. How? ואם אינו מברך נקרא גזלן לקדוש ברוך הוא. If you don't, when the person does not make the blessing, he is called gazlan. You know what gazlan? It's a robber. Not a thief, a robber. Why? And it says, because משום שהברכות שאדם מברך את הקדוש ברוך הוא, because the blessing that the person blesses God. You think you're blessing God. No, you're blessing yourself. באים להמשיך חיים ממקור החיים. Those blessings are created so you can draw life from the source of life. Again, the blessings are for you to draw life from the source of life. Nothing else. Okay? You don't do God a favor. You do yourself a favor. Yes, you do God a favor because when you're happy, you finally fulfill the purpose of the creation that He created you for. Very simple. How do we know that God created us to be happy? Although some people really think sometimes that God wants them to be miserable. And they think they really observe religion piously by being miserable. How do you know this is a joke? Terrible joke. Because when a person is miserable, his body is falling apart. Which means God did not design you to be miserable. It's against user manual. Being miserable. And that's why Rabbi Zaklori is saying, being miserable, this is a criminal offense against the creation. Why? It's like you're using your being in the wrong way. And you were created in order to use it in the right way. But, nobody can force you to do it right. You have to look for it. So, because those blessings are coming to draw life from the source of life, לשמוע הקדוש של הקדוש ברוך הוא, להריק עליו מאותו שם עליון. It's like you're drawing that divine oil. You're anointing yourself every time you say a blessing. Okay? So this is, because this is the bliss. This is the abundance. ומשם בא להימשך בכל העם. After you do that, then it can be drawn to the rest of the world. Again. So what does it mean? That the person is a robber. What does it mean a robber? So we learned a few weeks ago, we spoke about it, that the Torah is full with laws about property. And the Talmud, because of that, especially in the Parashat Mishpatim in the book of Exodus, and the Talmud is full of discussions about property. What's the connection to property? Because people need property in order to feel successful. Okay? Everybody's got property, feels successful? No. But you need property. What do you mean property? You need things. But the point is that what we learned, things are not things. Things are just packages of the energy of God. It could be things, that are shining like jewels, things that you eat, all kinds of things. Things that you live in, you sleep on, you sit on, things. And we know what? We get attached to things. Why? Because things have energy. So we don't get attached to the atoms. We get attached to the spirit within the atoms. Whoever says that's him not, he doesn't, no, I don't believe in that stuff. You know what? I tried it on few people. Let's say you're looking for a property. You want to buy a house. You find that amazing, beautiful house. Amazing location. And the price, the price. It's so cheap. It's a steal. It's a bargain, beyond bargain. So you're going to do to sign the contract, and then it happened to be that you bumped into one of the neighbors. And you ask them, what kind of a house was it? And he says, oh my God, don't go there. He says, what happened? The house is beautiful. And it's so cheap. He said, I'll tell you why it's so cheap. The last 5 families living in that house, each one of them, they came in healthy, and then people started to get sick and died, and that's how they sold the house and ran away. 5 families already. Okay, would you buy the house? So I tasted it. I tested few people that said, you know, I'm atheistic. I don't believe in this crap. I don't believe in that nonsense. I don't believe that there's spirit and energy and whatever. The moment I asked them that question, would you buy that house? And the answer was, no, I'm not buying this house. But you said you don't believe in these things. It's superstitious. No, I'm not buying this house. So, but, what? No, I'm not buying that house. So what happens? So deep inside, you do believe in these things, right? Everyone, most people, very, very few people can be that dumb not to feel that stuff, okay? So you know there's something wrong in that house, okay? Now, same thing. You're going to buy that piece of clothing. It looks nice. It's a nice brand. The price is cheap. It's on sale, 70% reduction, whatever. Okay, and then somebody tells you, you know, this piece of clothing was made in China by child labor, and the children were tied with chains to the machines. Would you buy that? No, I'm not buying that. Why? Who cares? Don't tell anyone. Don't tell. It's cheap. No, I don't know. I don't feel like. Why? Because there's energy inside that, the atoms of this piece of clothing. Very simple. And you have to be aware of it. That energy is everything. Beyond the looks, beyond the color, beyond the fabric and the texture, it's the energy. That is the beginning and the end of all of it. So that's why the laws of property are so important, because if you get property and it's not really yours, you can't really enjoy it. You can't really enjoy it. So that's why when it says robbery, because you know on Mount Sinai, one of them was do not steal. What didn't you get about do not steal? Why do not steal? Because when you steal, the Torah is telling us, that's not ancient Babylonian or Egyptian laws. This is spiritual laws on heaven. It's not because the police will catch you. It's because the moment you want any physical item, you want to be an owner of that, whatever it is, you don't want it, you want the pleasure you think it's going to give you. You want the pleasure? You need to acquire the pleasure. The previous owner has to release it for you, which means you have to pay it. You pay them, so they release it for you. What if you go and you take it by force? You're a robber. But you know what? Nobody caught you. You had a great lawyer. Whatever, he got you out of it. Okay. A lot of people go around without any, crimes are everywhere. And you know what my rabbi used to say? The moment people will be aware that the moment that when you steal something or you rob it, you can rob only the wrappings, only the paint around it, only the elusive picture around it. But you cannot rob pleasure. You cannot rob joy. You cannot rob fulfillment. You cannot steal happiness. You can't. You have to pay for it. Who would steal? If that's the way people will be educated. So you know what? During the 50s and 60s and 70s and even a little bit in the 80s, people around the world were still having some more awareness of it. They had some integrity that was based on religious belief that you have to be honest and God will reward you. Today, with the materialistic education that people go through, they don't care about it. They're not trained for it. You can't trust them. That's why there's so many thefts around. That people just, it's not just theft, it's more about breaching trust. Because people think they can get away with it. No, you can't. Do you think there's a connection? I think there is. That never in history so many people living on medications against depression. Never in history people were stealing so much and betraying each other so much. You know, couples, friends, people work and they have positions and they betray their customers, they betray their shareholders, they betray their workers, they betray whatever. They betray the people that voted them into office, and then they're surprised, they're miserable. Oh, what a surprise. Vaya EKEV tishmon, Moses says, you want to be happy, you have to follow these laws. Very simple. Why? These are the laws to follow into happiness, into fulfillment. Which means you cannot, if you want to achieve fulfillment, you have to pay for that. You have to, the payment should be by giving service, giving money, whatever the deal is about. And people make deals. Life is all about deals. So, being honest, says the Arizal, it's very simple. Yashar, honest, means also the rules of this universe are honest. Yashar means straight in Hebrew. It's very straight. A per A, B per B. It's very straight. Which means the rules of this universe are, these are the rules of how the light flows, how the abundance flows from above to below. How do you experience abundance? It's not the size of the house. Although, you can have a beautiful big house, no problem. How did you get it? What are you doing with that house? Are you using only for yourself? Are you also sharing it with others? By inviting people, doing some charity, whatever. Using whatever you have because you don't want to be the end. You want to connect to the endless? You have to be endless. What do I mean endless? When you have something and it's good for you, you can make yourself happy if you just make sure that other people are happy. If you gain in a business deal and it's not win-win, it's lose-lose. There's no win-lose. No win-lose. That's what Moses is teaching over here. So this is what the story is about, and the story is very focused and very important. It's about the ability of a human being to attach to happiness and lasting and fulfilling happiness. And that's what the whole story is about. Thank you so much.